Yeah, speaking of New York City, I saw there's like feces all over the streets in New York City. Their snow is melting there. So just, you think that you're upset with Mayor Q. It could always be worse, man. It could always be worse. All right. With that, the text to win keyword is sangria to 95819 to have a chance to win those Blake Shelton tickets in Las Vegas. And we're giving away tickets at 8:15 right on this show to see Santana and the Doobie Brothers at Morton Amphitheater on August 26th. So that is 40 minutes away. In Olathe, there is a $389 million bond issue. That is a mail-in ballot vote that you probably have your ballots for already if you are districted in Olathe. And last night there was a sit-down interview on Channel 41, and they talked with the deputy superintendent. He sat down with 41, and they did an interview yesterday to talk about this bond vote. So Jim McMullen sits down with 41 and seems like a very nice man. I'm sure he's a pleasant superintendent. That being said, the interview was very disingenuous on this bond issue, which is all about trying to figure out how to get nearly $400 million to do things like build new facilities, fix up facilities, and consolidate schools. It's not about teachers' raises. It's got nothing to do with the teachers, nothing to do with the classroom. What it's about is about getting money for, as the question says on the ballot, purchase and improve sites, acquire, construct, equip, furnish, repair, remodel, and make additions to buildings used for school district purposes, including acquisition of new and upgraded computer and communications technologies. Those things may be needed, but $389 million? So the obvious question is, okay, is it going to raise taxes? They say it's a no new tax bond issue. That's fine. But when the deputy superintendent says this, I'm like, no, pump the brakes. That is simply not true when they say they have no control over property taxes in Olathe.
He says this bond won't have a tax rate increase, but I asked him about concerns of property tax increases.
How do you alleviate those concerns?
The school district has no control over that whatsoever, and so what we can control is our tax levy.
Yeah, and the tax levy impacts the property taxes. That is very disingenuous at best and a flat-out lie at worst. To have the Olathe deputy superintendent going on 41 and saying that we've got no control over your property taxes, we just control the levy. Yes, and the levy impacts the taxes. Anyone who's paid 2 minutes of attention to how this stuff works understands that. I mean, now you're just not being honest. You're not being forthright. You're not being transparent. And that annoys me more than just lobbying and advocating for why you need $389 million.
Is that not the whole tone of what's wrong with today? Look, I don't mind disagreeing with people. Just don't insult my intelligence.
Exactly. Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining, okay? I'm trying to be FCC compliant here. I don't want to say something else. But please don't do that to me. I've got my bills here from the last 2 years of my property taxes because one of the few good things that has been passed in Topeka the last few years is this the real estate tax statement that you're required to get. Mark, you see this. You get this thing in the mail, right? I'll do my little paper pop there since I never usually have paper here in the studio. But you get this big thing in the mail, and it gives you the year-over-year tax numbers from where you were last year to where you are this year. It breaks it down by tax rate, by dollars, what your appraised value was last year, what it will be this year. It's basically all your taxes broken down. State of Kansas, Johnson County, Community College, Parks and Rec, Olathe City or Overland Park City taxes, and then your school taxes. All right? So just to put this into perspective, I'm looking at my tax bill here that I got at the end of 2025. And the school district took in 1,000, 2,000. About half of my property taxes go to the school. Several $1,000s. Between the general fund, the district, the bonds, and the school capital outlay, about half of the property taxes, several $1,000s, go to exclusively the schools. Then you got about, a third of that's going to Johnson County, a third is going to the city, give or take. But, you stack it all up, and you've got thousands of dollars, and give or take, 40, 50% of your property taxes going to the schools. And they can impact that number because they're the ones who can set the levy, which is what Jim McMullen admitted. But then he also said on the front end, we have no control over your property taxes. That's not true. It's not.
He says this bond won't have a tax rate increase, but I asked him about concerns of property tax increases.
How do you alleviate those concerns?
The school district has no control over that whatsoever. And so what we can control is our tax levy.
Okay, and here's what they would say. Because I'm looking at the bill. They slightly lowered the levy last year, at least as I look at my bill right now. They slightly lowered the tax levy, but they got more money because the appraisals went up. So this is the game that gets played here, all right? Just so we're all on the same page. They can say, hey, we did our job. We lowered the tax levy. Yeah, but you're taking more money because the appraisals went up, right? So if the appraisals go up to the point where they can still get more money out of you, they're going to do it, but then try to look like the good guys by saying they lowered the levy. And that's what we control. It's totally disingenuous. It's not being forthright with the taxpayers. It's not. And now they're looking for $400 million. And they have admitted that they have had declining enrollment in Olathe. The population of Olathe has grown 7-8% since 2020. And they've had enrollment declines in the Olathe public schools of about 7-8% during that period of time. How do you explain that? Here's what the deputy superintendent told Channel 41 last night.
How does enrollment play a factor in any of this decision making?
Pandemic hit, and like every other district, not only in the metro, but frankly, across the region, across the nation, everyone has seen a decline since then. Combination of things, certainly from the birth rate, which really started dropping significantly back in the 2015, 2017 range, and then the price of homes in our area, the affordability of new housing, for years.
So he blames the birth rate and the price of housing. If population has increased, explain to me how magically still there aren't just more kids going to Olathe public schools. If you're telling me it's all young single people, well, that tells me that the city is then only interested in building apartments, which is a separate conversation. But explain that to me. Help me understand that. Now, if you said, hey, population's up 10% in Olathe, but the school enrollment's only up 1%, I could understand that and be like, all right, well, people are choosing different options for schools. There's different kinds of schooling now that's more acceptable, more accepted. I could get all that. I could understand all that. But when you're up 8% in population and you're down 8% in enrollment and there's no thought to look in the mirror, I just have a problem with that from a pure leadership perspective. And then to have the audacity to say, by the way, can I get $400 million while I'm at it? And there's not a dime of this that goes to the classroom. Not a dime of it. This isn't for teachers' raises. This is for acquiring land and construction and equipment and repairs and remodels. I mean, you don't have, I don't think, a leg to stand on right now if you're the Olathe Public Schools to say this is what we need and this is a wise investment. But here's the hope. The hope is that parents react like this guy did last night on 41.
And taxpayers I heard from say their goals are clear, too.
I have granddaughters and a grandson here in the school district. And, of course, I want the schools to be good for them.
That's how they want to win this thing. You don't want to be against the kids in the schools now, do you? You got kids and grandkids in the district. Don't you want what's best for them? Yeah, I do. Yeah, sure, of course, absolutely. And your job is to tell me how this is best for them and why this kind of investment into structures and land is best for them. And nobody in Olathe involved with the public schools is doing that right now. They're not. They're not making that case. And maybe there's a case to make. I'll invite them on the show this week and see what I can track down. But they're not even making the case, which tells me either one of two things. They don't think they have to make the case because people just vote this stuff through and let it pass and just say, well, I'm all for the kids. Or they don't know how to make the case. Because deep down they know there's really no case to make. 913-408-7957. We'll stay on this. Ballots are out. People are voting on it. There's also one in DeSoto for over $100 million. So do with that what you want. 913-408-7957. Pete, shouldn't the interviewer have called him out in the levy question? I don't know the interviewer. I don't want to judge her. I will speak broadly when I say a lot of the local reporters in television news, not the anchors who have been around forever, but I mean the reporters just getting their feet wet, new to the business, they don't know what they don't know. I'll leave it at that.